alaikum warahmatullahi. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS The Shadow Show, and this is a Ramadan reflection. First of all, I hope everybody is enjoying the Ramadan and gathering the benefits and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you're having a tough time, it's meant to be. It's meant to expiate some of our sins and bring us together, streamline us a little bit. So let me put that out there first. Our topic today is really the sanctity of life and purposeful living. Again, that's the sanctity of life and purposeful living. I brought this topic up, or I say I chose this topic because for the last two Ramadans, we've had our Ramadans really encased by the idea that we had to deal with a tremendous loss of life. Last year with COVID, we're still losing life now, but also now with this spree of mass shootings. And I thought it'd be really, really important or advantageous to us to talk about the idea that life has a nuance of sanctity. When I say a nuance of sanctity, first, that we don't give it to ourselves. Let me say that again. We don't give it to ourselves, which means that life is a trust. It's a amana. And how we live around one another and sometimes how we live through each other is the thing that makes this special. Too often I've had to say that life in America, life around the world has become too transactional. People look at it point A to point B to point C, and life is not linear in any regards. And I say this because it burdens my spirit a lot when I see how people treat one another, when I see how people treat not just one another, people they know, but people that they don't know. And obviously there's something out of a line when you don't have a regard for sanctity of life, because when you don't have that, you can't even talk about the purposeful living that's supposed to come along with it. I'm a believer like a lot of you guys and a lot of you sisters. I'm a believer. I believe that we're put in this creation to serve. We're put in this creation to serve and make the creation that we're in better. It's a reminder to the blessings and the wisdom that's imparted to us through our book, the Holy Quran, the path, the Surat al-Mustaqim, and a reminder of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But there's something that's spiritually sick that's just pervasive in our society. I don't want to say morals. I'm saying spiritually sick, something that does not let you get to that understanding that life is sacred. To the extent now where we have to check with one another, not just how are you, your family, but how's your spirit? How's your mind? COVID put us in a situation, whether we want to say it or not, we were prisoners in our own home. And just like prisoners in prisons, when they come home or they're released, there's a process. It's called reentry. I'm going to leave the inmates alone for a minute because their reentry is difficult enough. That's reentering into society. But this is a situation whereby we have people who have had difficulty reentering into the purpose of their life. They no longer see themselves as proponents of their own agency and how they're supposed to deal with people. You may have watched what happened with the Capitol. You may have watched what happened with these mass shootings. What you have is people who have lost the balance of understanding life for everybody. And it all becomes this very, very narrow thing of life for themselves. My heart goes out to the families and the victims of these shootings. Why? And the thing that hurts is that we all know that life is not supposed to be this way. The permissibility of hurting people, the permissibility of maiming people, the permissibility of killing people without recourse, without definition, and without explanation is a thing that leaves us all in dark spaces at point in times. I encourage all of us, let's change the motion. Let's move to talking about purposeful living to our children, to our family members, to one another, because the conversation has been null and void for quite a long time. I take that back. Maybe not null and void, but we haven't been taking it out to people, putting in the street. So when fewer folks come out who've been locked away with their own opinions, locked away with their own shortcomings, locked away with their own insecurities, locked away in their own minds, that we do have something there for them. And it's called an example. Brothers and sisters, this is my Ramadan reflection. I want to give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate School for sponsoring this section. Hopefully, we'll see you the next time. Until then, be safe. Be safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Preacher Moss. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I am Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday, whether you're fasting or not. You know what? The idea when I say hope you're having a wonderful Sunday is that I hope it's part of a routine, a part of a very positive habit where you know how to model your day or structure your day so you can have good days and have good outcomes. You know, I hope you guys didn't mind, but I decided to put the Ramadan reflection up at the top of the show. The reason is, I just had to get it off my chest. Sometimes I don't have a whole rhyme or reason, but something every once in a while, something spurs on a sense of urgency in yourself, and you feel like, I just want to get that out. I just want to share. So for all of you that got to see that, thank you, and I appreciate your patience. Let me start out by welcoming people to the show. If this is your first time coming to the Shout Out Show, thank you for coming. You are in for a very rare and unique experience, not because I'm the host, because of the people who come on and make the show what it is and what it's been, going back 300 plus episodes. And I thank each and every one of them for every episode. So if you're coming for the first time, let me tell you where you are. This is a very unique collective of people, and we call it giving a shout out. So let us know who you are. Don't be a wallflower. Get in the comment section. Express yourself. I just talked about it earlier about people not knowing who are, what their purpose are. When you know what your purpose is, when you come to the Shout Out Show, let us know what it is. Share it, brothers and sisters. We appreciate you for it. All right. And if you're coming before, and I have to say this, we're close to 160 subscribers. Alhamdulillah. I remember when it was 0 and we had to go through it and we got to 100. So I'm very blessed. I feel good about that. We're at 159 subscribers. If you know somebody who's not come to the Shout Out Show, tell them to be number 160. And because we're trying to get to, you guess it, 161. All right. So let me welcome the stars in the building, if you don't mind. We got Sister Ree. Ree is on loan from the Shout Out Show up to Michigan. She went there for Grandma's funeral. I hope everything went well. I made dua for Grandma that she's well received and she gets her blessings on the other side. Ree, I heard you in the kitchen, doing good things. We miss you. We miss Derek. We miss Jawan. Listen, you're up there. When you come back, I want you to take your time because you told me when you left and when you got there, y'all were flying. I don't even think all 4 tires were touching the floor, touching the ground, the road at that point in time. So slow down when you come back. We miss you. Thank you so much. But Derek Chase, we know you were a perpetrator behind that wheel too, sir. I mess with you. D Chase, thank you so much for taking our queen up there and making sure she got up there. We miss you guys. Hope to see you soon back at home. Next up, Altaf. Altaf, brothers and sisters. He is the only ambassador to a show. Altaf, do you know that? You are the only and a Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. I can tell you all the shows that are out there, all the live streams out there, none of them has an ambassador. We have an ambassador, and he comes here every day to make sure that we do it right, that we translate it. Altaf, we're going to have to get this thing in France and send it over to Montreal because they're missing the show. All right. Altaf, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope everybody got a chance to look at the reflection because I'm gonna try and build on that, as the young folks say. I'm gonna try and build on that conversation a little bit, but a little bit more on the positive side. All right, who we got next? We got Sister Ika coming all the way. Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Coming all the way from Indonesia, Depok, Indonesia, outside of Jakarta, not in Jakarta, outside of Jakarta, who comes here. I could look at the time. She just finished making fudge and she is starting her fast. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And if I have not said we appreciate you enough, let me say I'm remiss. We appreciate you one more time. That's right. Miss y'all. Love. Yeah, it's all love on the shout out show. Thank you so much, Ree. And of course, we cannot forget our consultant producer, Mr. Satana Whitfield, who's doing amazing things with the shout out show, working the controls in the back, making it so that I could just be creative when I get in front of the screen. I don't have to click and move and things like that. Every once in a while, I have to. But you know what? I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm going to tell you something. And you probably know it, but I'm going to share with you. The show has been incrementally getting better, and I like that. You know, we're motoring towards 1 year, brothers and sisters, 1 year of consecutive shows. So we have some big changes coming up. I want to discuss with my team, of course, my consultant producer, my team, my family, my shout out show family. Maybe some of the things we could do to improve the show. Maybe some of the things we could do in terms of when the show appears. Different things like that. And don't forget, brothers and sisters, I have not forgotten. We have people supposed to be coming on giving their own Ramadan reflections. All right, let's get to our topic today: the power of peace of mind. The power of peace of mind is something I've been, of course, banging on for quite a long time, even before COVID. I've been harking on this since the second term of Barack Obama. When Barack Obama won, there was a portion of America, let's just say it, a portion of white America, a large portion of white America, that lost their doggone mind because they thought that whiteness was going to be the thing that allowed them to not have to deal with Barack Obama for another 4 years. You could almost hear the cries, that almost like there can't be a God that has me deal with this Negro another 4 years. It's almost like political apostasy. They walked away from a lot of things. And one of the things I walked away from was logic and compassion and mercy. And then they took those feelings and they started putting out laws that were supposed to be for everybody. But there were laws that were streamlined and I want to say streamlined and designed, if you will, to make sure that this didn't happen again. And so we had several years of Trump and have now. And one of the things that is important about the power of peace of mind, brothers and sisters, is mindfulness. We have lost, in many regards, the fabric of mindfulness. And when I say lost the fabric of mindfulness, it means the awareness that other people have rights, that other people have problems, that other people have solutions, that other people have different points of view. And now we've begun to see an outgrowth whereby the power of the peace of mind has been compromised. It's been compromised in a way whereby we don't ask about our neighbors, we assume. I am guilty like a lot of other people. We assume. I have to get out and find out who my neighbors are. And when I say go out and find out who my neighbors are, not like they're new neighbors, of course, new neighbors, but your old neighbors, finding out what's going on with them. You may know a neighbor, but somebody lives across the street for 30 years. You still may not know about them or what they're going through. But for this juncture right here, brothers and sisters, the power of peace of mind is the thing that gives us gravity. Gravity. The idea of gravity means that it pulls us down, it anchors us, if you will. It gives us something to plant our feet on solidly. As we look at the world around us, we had probably one of the most ridiculous election cycles for the 2020 elections. And what I say is not just we just had them. I'm saying that we supported things, or we watched people support things that weren't true. We watched people support things that were dangerous. We watch people support things that led to loss of life. And what occurred to me is that people are not thoroughly invested in engaging in peace of mind. There's an old saying, what price is peace of mind? Well, it turns out, the price for peace of mind is very high. It's a very high cost that you're going to put in. It's more so, it's a very high investment. It regards, I want to say, it regards how we look at one another. And more so than how we look at one another, it's like how we react to one another. Like, I look at mass shootings as very, very bad conversations. Let me say it again. I look at mass shootings as very, very bad conversations. And in bad conversations, not because that person talked to that person or that person had something to do or yelled at something. It largely has to do that people walk around in their lives with things inside of them that are not resolved. Things inside of them that grow like cancers. And then they just have outbreaks. They just have not just outbreaks, but outbursts. And it's such a mess of emotions, psychological issues, uh, pain, anxiety, that it can't be released in a normal way. It can't be framed in a normal conversation. Hell, it can't even be probably framed in a conversation with a mental health therapist because people get so far gone. And to think about the power of the peace of mind, brothers and sisters, it's for many of us. Didn't have money, didn't necessarily have education, didn't necessarily have opportunity, didn't necessarily have presence. But peace of mind was something that was important because it settled the spirit. Hear what I'm saying? Peace of mind is something that settled the spirit. It was a cause for celebration. We found, in many regards, the impetus, and I want to say, the commitment. Let me say, the commitment to be peaceful in our hearts in a world that was swirling around us. And that was the thing that gave us clarity. That was the thing that gave us inspiration. And that was the thing that gave us purpose. Having a peace of mind, brothers and sisters, or having peace of mind is a bedrock to society and successful living. I'll be honest, I don't like being around people who don't have peace of mind. It's scary. Say whatever you want to say about it. It's scary. I've been around people who are racist. And I was concerned, number one, because when I didn't buy into the conversation about race, I saw the anxiety grow. And then number two, when I didn't buy into the anxiety, I saw the wanting violence that wanted to be released and unleashed grow. Now you take that aspect of things that people do in the absence of peace of mind, that's what you have right now. You have people that can't talk to one another. You have people that can't work out their problems. You can't have people that, can't. You don't even have people who can commit to sit down and have a conversation. So where am I going with this? I'm going to tell you why. The reason I'm going this direction is because we need to have more conversations about our mind state. I'm not saying go see a mental health therapist. If you need to go, God bless you, go. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. If you went to talk to a therapist, God bless you. You know why? Because this is potentially the craziest time we've ever dealt with. Well, 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2 anymore. Right does not, right? People don't even talk about what's right anymore. They talk about what they can get away with. We live in a very disheveled and disjointed existence. However, it doesn't mean that we have to live that existence. And that comes from this whole idea of thinking holistically about your life, about your family, about what you believe, what you protect, how you educate, and how you engage. It all comes from brothers and sisters having peace of mind. Now, old folks used to say these things all the time. Let me get to some of our stuff right here. Camera here. You know, I said Samir says some people will never understand peace of mind until they lose their sanity. I was about to say that, Samir. I was about to say that. I was about to say that. You beat me to it. Thank you for beating me to it. Because I want to make sure I'm happy that I'm not the only person that feels that way. These shootings are, these are epithets, if you will, of people that have lost contact with reality. They've lost contact with their emotional controls. In the business of teaching special ed, we used to call these activities like this when kids would have these outbursts. We used to call them negative attention seeking. Think about that. Negative attention seeking. Now, of course, when black folk did it, it was just regular old crime. When I taught severely emotionally disturbed kids, it was just out of control kids. Well, I'll tell y'all something. Out of control kids can grow up to be out of control adults. Don't fool yourself. And this thing cuts across the spear of race, religion, economics, education. It is the thing that we're living right now. It is the absolute thing that we're living right now. And people are not really trying to go that route. We're not asking enough questions. I feel personally that we should be asking these questions, that we should not be looking the other way in some regards. And we have to check ourselves. They used to have funny sayings. You got to do a checkup from the neck up. We do need to do a checkup from the neck up for our mental capacity and a checkup in the neck up for our spiritual capacity. Where is mercy these days? Where is mercy these days? I've talked about peace of mind or power of peace of mind. The power of peace of mind gives you, brothers and sisters? It gives you a framework for mercy and compassion. I never really thought of it that way. It gives you a framework for mercy and compassion, beginning with yourself. Beginning with yourself. When they had the shooting in Colorado, I literally sat around going, while people mourn about these shootings, which is horrible, the police officer got shot. I said, how many people remember Columbine? The trench coat mafia. Remember them? Two white guys walked in Columbine High School and executed people. They executed people. Which to me says it never ended. It never stopped. And we legislate things that allow it to happen. The last shooting, and then at FedEx, they took the guy's gun away. He went and bought another gun legally. But where does it stop? Where does it stop? I don't want to be in the situation like when we dealt with COVID, that was different, right? We dealt with COVID. COVID was different. Why was COVID different? Because we were dealing with an illness. We're dealing with a pandemic that framed what we did as individuals, and it had so much to do about our health and safety. Now we got our vaccines. We're moving around. Pandemic is still out there. Don't fool yourself. All over the world, they're having surges with the pandemic, and if we're going to be silly like we've been in the past, we're going to be right back where we were, stuck in our house with a mask on while we sleep. That's what it is. But think of this idea. Why are we not calling out people and saying something is wrong with our mindset here in the United States? Because I'm not going to beat up on the United States, but let's be honest. You go around to other countries, the UK, Europe, they don't have gun violence like that. You go north to Canada, they don't have gun violence like that. This is a mindset here in the United States. This is the mindset here in the United States. And that mindset disrupts a lot of times peace of mind. And so now you have to be deadly focused on maintaining this ideology that in many ways encases you away from these ill feelings and these ill thoughts. I think of protection. When I talk about the power of peace of mind, I think about protection. As a comedian, a lot of times I've had to go into places and be around things that I didn't agree with, I didn't like. Some of them were illegal, some of them were immoral. And I want to say, in some regards, I had to hold my nose. And the reason I had to hold my nose was, you know, to get to the stage, I had to look at these things, make a value assessment, go on the stage, and then talk about the exact same things I saw. To make jokes about why people shouldn't be drinking and why people shouldn't be doing drugs and the danger of some of these erroneous relationships that people were having with substance abuse and each other. To go on stage, you had to hold your nose. You know, the power of peace of mind is our prophets. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He's a guy who had to hold his nose for a ton of things, a ton of things. And what was his space? Some people say it was the cave. I'll give you that. His space was what? Knowing he was doing the right thing. And so maybe, brothers and sisters, the power of our peace of mind is knowing that we're doing the right thing. That despite whatever the world does, or whatever the world colludes to do against the rest of the world, that we have some confidence that we're doing the right thing. We have some comments, Satana? Hey, Safai. Ramadan Kareem, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Mary Ma says we need strength to evaluate ourselves, then the courage to improve no matter what it takes. I like the way you frame that, Mama Moss, because peace of mind is it's an exercise. In the world the way it is, nobody's gonna give it to you. I cheat about my peace of mind. I'll get up at whatever 4:30 in the morning and go run for an hour, knowing that there's nothing out there except rabbits and a couple of deer. And I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to gauge anybody. I don't have to worry about traffic. And I can have this conversation either with myself or I have this conversation with my Lord, however I'm feeling that day. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Sophia is a very talented writer, brothers and sisters, just in case you want to know. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're doing well. So, on this concept, brothers and sisters, the power of peace of mind, you know, I would like to probably extend it and I'll figure out how to post the Ramadan reflection that we did today, which was again, what was it about? Sanctity of life and purposeful living. This ties into peace of mind. I want to know that when I do something, that it has an end result that doesn't have to be specifically tied to my happiness or my approval. You know, I learned peace of mind as a teacher, as an educator. You learn it hard. It's a crash course, and you learn that time is not a given. Learning is not linear. When you come in, the students have learned things. Some of them are beneficial to them, and some of them are detrimental. And you work in between. You work in between the spaces, and you hope that you do the best in the interest of the child. But in the end, what are you doing as a teacher aside from education? Let me tell you guys something. And I never said this before. Teaching children as much as they want to learn is a very, very traumatic experience for a child. Learning is a traumatic experience for a child. The pressure to get something right, the pressure to perform, the pressure to regurgitate, the pressure to follow formats, the pressure to turn in on deadlines. It's a lot of pressure for a child. So all the times where I was learning, I was teaching, I said I had to understand that introducing new concepts and new ideas to children, a group of children, it can be traumatizing. And therefore, I have to be compassionate and I have to be well-meaning how I present it. So you just can't throw it out there and just expect them to go get it. And it's the same thing about peace of mind. This is not an exercise where you're going to go out and get it on the first time. You've got to build in protocols that work for you. You've got to build in systems, default systems. If this doesn't happen, then this happens. What are your default systems when you talk about your peace of mind? Do you default to gratitude? Do you default to thankfulness? Do you default to investigation? These things are important. So look, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm sorry I went over. We're trying to keep it. Let's get our comment before we go. Samir says, I think sometimes it's important to realize we live in a world where it's important to divorce ourselves from negativity, as we live in times where we're fed negative information constantly. Well put. Well put, Samir. And here's the thing, I'm going to add to that. Sometimes you have to take in the negativity to define what you're going to do. Sometimes I keep negative things in my mind, or I remember negative things, so that when something comparable comes along, I have that experience to attach it to. I may have resolved whatever that situation is, but I've taken earmarks so that when a situation comes, I have something to compare it to. Well, that's the one thing about peace of mind. Whether we design it or not, I give all praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your peace of mind is so unique, and I'll tell you why. Because it's always going to be comparable to everything else around you. I am Preacher Moss. This is a shout out show. Thank you guys so much. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Our sponsor is Be Financially Independent. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. A business Black owned, female owned by Maxine B. Cade. If you don't want to go to the website, you can call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. I want to give a big shout out to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, who's been sponsoring us for quite a long time, and we appreciate your support. We have they're actually going to be sponsoring a couple of Ramadan reflections throughout the month. I hope you guys like the one that we did today. If you did not, I'll try and do better. How about that? But I could say this in the end, it did give me some peace of mind. All right, I'm out. That's the show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Preacher Moss. See you tomorrow. Hey, everybody, this is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout-out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout-out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.